Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
That's right.
Good, have a seat.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. Could you go ahead and spell and state your name for the record?
Jessica Hamilton, Jessica Hamilton.
All right, ma'am. And where do you work?
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
Okay, and what do you do for them?
I'm a crime scene specialist.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that?
I've been with the Bureau for 10 years and I've been doing crime scene for 9 years.
Okay. And tell the jurors about some of your training that you have in crime scene.
Okay, I'm post-certified. I've also gone through the GBI's Special Agent School. I've also attended the National Forensic Academy in Tennessee. And then I have other just training different areas of crime scene.
And does your training include on-the-job training, that sort of thing?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And what is your current assignment and like, what office are you out?
I'm in Region 14, which is in Kingsland.
At some point last year, did you become involved in the investigation of the homicide of Ahmaud Arbery?
I did.
Okay. Can you go ahead and tell the jurors how you first became involved?
When I first got involved, I was doing some of the neighborhood canvassing and stuff like that.
Okay. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
What areas of Glenn County or the neighborhoods did you canvass, if you remember?
We did Satilla Shores, Royal Oaks, and I'm not certain on the name of the other neighborhood.
Fancy Bluff?
Yes.
Okay. And you talked to different individuals, right? Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. In addition to neighborhood canvassing, did you do anything with the physical evidence involved in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your main role with some of the physical or the forensic evidence in this case?
I picked up evidence that was collected by Glenn County and I transported evidence either to our office or to the crime lab.
And is that something that crime scene investigators do often as part of your job, is to transport materials or evidence interagency?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know the purpose of doing that?
To transport it to the crime lab to get it tested or to secure it in the evidence room.
Okay. And are you familiar with the term chain of custody?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors very briefly, because I think they've heard a little bit about this, but what chain of custody is?
The chain of custody shows the transfer of evidence from once it comes into law enforcement's custody. It then, each time it changes hands, if I was the one to collect it and then I transfer it to the evidence room, it will show each change of hands that it goes through.
And is that to prevent things like tampering with evidence and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you have an opportunity to pick up a shotgun in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the jurors what you did with that?
I transported it to the crime lab.
Okay. Do you remember what type of shotgun or anything like that?
I'm not certain.
Okay. Because you weren't involved with any of the analysis of that?
No, I was just transporting it.
Okay. Do you remember transporting any sort of ballistic evidence?
Yes, I believe I didn't collect. I transported the wadding from a shot shell and a shot shell.
Okay. You said a shot shell and a wadding?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. And feel free, if you can't remember exactly what you
Yes.
transported, you can go ahead and
Yeah.
look at your notes, okay?
Okay.
All right. Do you remember transporting any sort of clothing?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you remember transporting?
Let me refer to my notes.
Sure, not a problem.
I transported Travis's clothing and his boots.
When you're transporting evidence, is there anything you do to the evidence itself to make sure that you're able to document and log what you're...
We barcode it with our barcodes.
Okay. Do you happen to remember the barcode numbers, or not remember? I don't think you're going to remember,
No,
but
I don't remember.
do you have them in your notes?
I do have them in my
Okay,
notes.
let's start with the shotgun. Do you know the serial number or the barcode
Um,
number that you put for the shotgun?
The shotgun barcode would be CC06014.
And then what about the shot shell?
The
Or shot shell?
Give me just a second.
Not a problem.
Is CC06015.
Is there another number for another shell?
There's also CC06017.
And what about the shot cup or the wine?
CC06016.
And what about the clothing?
The clothing is CC06018, and then the boots are CC06019.
Did you also have occasion to do anything with any cell phone evidence in this case?
I believe I picked up some from Glenn County and then transported it to another agent.
Okay, do you remember what you picked up?
I believe it was cell phone data
Okay.
or analysis.
Do you remember who you picked it up from?
Parker Marcy,
Okay. And who did you give it to?
Lawrence Kelly.
And Lawrence Kelly, is that a GBI agent?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you remember doing anything with call record evidence?
I believe I picked up the records from Parker Marcy as well.
Okay. And are those call reports?
Yes.
In addition addition to transporting evidence to and from agencies, are part of your duties as well to photograph scenes, evidence, that sort of thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the things that you may have searched or photographed, okay?
Okay.
Did you photograph any sort of vehicles in this case?
I did.
Okay. What did you photograph?
I photographed Travis's F-150 truck, and then I also photographed Roddy's Silverado truck.
I'm going to show you what's been marked. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 279 through 282. Through 283. Can you go ahead and take a look at this? Look at these and tell me if you recognize them.
Yes, these are photographs I took.
Okay. And could you go ahead and tell the jurors where you took those?
These were at my office in Kingsland.
Did you have anything to do with the transportation of that truck to or from the Kingsland location?
No, I did not.
Okay. And, Your Honor, at this time, State moves to place State's Exhibit 279 through 283 into evidence?
Yes. I'll maybe take a quick look at this.
Yeah. And while they're looking at the photographs, do you remember what date you took the photographs on?
Let me refer to. That would have been on May 18th of 2020.
While they're looking through the pictures, did you also perform any sort of search on the vehicles at all?
On Travis's truck, yes, I documented the exterior and interior of the truck.
Okay. And when you say documented it, walk them through that process.
Okay, so when I documented, I photographed all the way around the entire vehicle on the exterior and also on the interior of the vehicle, just documenting everything that is on or in the vehicle.
Just re-attender States 279 through 283.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Very good.
Your Honor, permission to publish?
Go ahead.
For the record, I'm putting on State's Exhibit 279. Could you go ahead and tell the jurors what you did here?
This is a photograph of the front of his truck.
Photograph 280.
This is just the side view of his truck.
State's Exhibit 281.
This is the back of the truck.
State's 282.
This is just showing the toolbox of the truck.
And State's 283.
This was paperwork that was found in the truck.
Right here. And what does that show?
It's kind of hard to see. The registration.
Is there anything else that you did in terms of either searching or documenting Travis or Michael's truck?
No.
Did you have a chance to go and perform a search on any other locations during this investigation?
Yes.
Okay, could you go ahead and tell the jurors what locations you searched?
I
participated in the search
I
of?
participated in the search of the McMichael's home and in Roddy's home.
You said Roddy's home?
Yes.
Do you remember the addresses?
I can refer back. Let's see here. I'm not certain on the address of the McMichael's house, but Roddy's house was 307 Burford Drive in
Okay.
Brunswick.
I'm gonna go ahead and show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 139 and 140. Could you go ahead and take a look at these and tell me if you recognize them?
Yes, these are photographs I took.
And what are they photographs of?
These are photographs of Roddy's home.
Okay, and are they a true and accurate representation of the photographs you took?
Yes, they are.
And do you remember what day you went out and did that?
That would have been on May 21st of 2020.
Your Honor, this time State moves to place State's Exhibit 139 and 140 into evidence.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
They're admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
State's Exhibit 139. What are we looking at here?
This is the front of his home.
And 140.
This is just another view. This is showing the garage.
In addition to the outside of the house, did you search inside of 307 Burford?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And what did y'all collect during your search?
We collected several different electronics.
And what did y'all do with those electronics?
We transported them back to our office, and then they were taken to be examined.
By other agents? In addition to doing search warrants and photographing the houses and the trucks, is there anything else that you did in terms of video or pictures?
Yes, I did aerial photographs of Satilla Shores neighborhood.
Okay. And when you say you did aerial photographs, tell the jurors what exactly you did.
Okay, I was in a helicopter and we flew over the neighborhood and took photographs of the neighborhood from the helicopter.
Just 1 second. Record showing defense State Exhibit 165 through 187. And when you're up there in the helicopter, you have a pilot?
Yes,
You have other agents with you?
there was another agent, yes.
Okay. And did y'all take explain to them a little bit more how y'all went around the neighborhood and how you decided, what pictures to take, that sort of thing?
Okay, we went all the way around so we could get view of the entire neighborhood from different angles. So we kind of just flew in a circle around the whole neighborhood.
Okay. And were you using a still camera, a video?
I was using a still camera.
And once you're done photographing the scene from above, what do you do with those pictures?
The pictures are then taken and attached to our summary.
Attached to a case file?
Yes.
Just 1 second. I'm going to show you with the markers, it's exhibit 165 through 187. Can you take a look at these photographs and tell me if you recognize what they are?
These are photographs that I took.
And are they a true and accurate representation or copy of the photographs you took that day?
Yes, they are.
And what day was that you went out there? Do you remember?
That would be, give me just a second.
Not a problem.
That was on May 7th of 2020.
Judge, at this time, state move to place State's Exhibit 165 through 187 into evidence.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Admitted.
We're not going to go through every picture, but I'm just going to pick a few,
Okay.
okay? Do I have permission to publish these pictures?
Go ahead.
What are we looking at?
This is a photograph of the Satilla Shores neighborhood.
here? 82.
This is also another photograph of the neighborhood, and in this photograph you can see the entrance on the left side.
Where my pin is?
Yes,
Is that the entrance?
yes.
Just 1 second, Your Honor. Your Honor, this time state will pass the witness subject to redirect.
Can we approach?
We can go ahead and have you step into the jury room.
All right, for jury.
ask that you just go ahead and take a step out in the hallway, and we'll call you back in for your testimony. Okay. She's good. All right, what I understand then, Mr. Sheffield, is that you're going to ask her about a list that she pulled as part of her duties with the GBI.
Right, we were given this information from the state. It's maybe we have it under state's witnesses as part of the work that this particular agent did. She was asked, and I think she just testified, she was asked to pull some reports. She populated a list of those reports, which start at 7/1/19 and end on 2/23/20. And also, she pulled the documents associated with those reports. So those were part of her case file, and I think she labeled it maybe as Exhibit 96, or it was labeled as Exhibit 96 in the GBI's file. I have a number of those reports that I contend are relevant that deal with neighborhood patrol, extra patrol, and suspicious persons. I've gone through them, and by category, Your Honor, and I have the certifications of them as business records from the clerk, but I have them as neighborhood patrol, starting on 7/5/19, going through to 2/19/20, and there are approximately 20 of these. Then, Your Honor, I have trespassing, and some of these trespassings we've seen already. One from 10/25 on 220 Satilla. That's actually all that is. It's just related to 220 Satilla, but she pulled it. And then, Your Honor, I have extra watch, which starts, the earliest is, well, not the earliest, but the one that I have that's in compliance with what she did was November 18th. It looks like there's 3 documents that deal with the extra watch all around the same residence of 220. I don't have to tender all 3, but they have different times on them, I guess. So that makes them relevant because there's extra watch happening at different times. Then I have suspicious persons starting on 7/13, going through, the last one is dated 2/13, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 of these within her relevant time period. And then there are, I think, the documents that we may have spoken about already, a burglary on 7/1/19, and entering auto on 12/8. Another theft entering auto on 1/20, that's for Travis McMichael. I would move these into evidence, Your Honor, and strictly be using essentially the dates and the nature of the call. These are not documents that would go out with the jury, but they are reflective of what she did and gathered. And now on cross, I would seek to admit them as the complete part of her testimony with these certifications. I wanted to bring that to the court's attention before I just did it, since I know the court is working through this.
From the state?
I'm going to ask the lawyer who's dealing with the witness present for the state, please.
Well, she argued the motion earlier today, and this is exactly the same issue.
Well, we're on a different issue now. We're on cross-examination with certified records.
I'll permit the state to argue it's.
Thank you, Judge. Once again, ambushed with this stuff being handed to me at 8:30 this morning to have this witness testify to it. First off, saying she pulled them, what she did was she requested that the Glenn County Police Department provide her with these records. They were then provided to her. She then provided them to Special Agent Dial. Special Agent Dial reviewed all of these records, some of them twice. He then testified about these records at the preliminary hearing initially. So at this time, questioning this witness, I'm afraid, is going to end up in a lot of, yeah, I pulled all of these, and then we're going to go through each and every one of them with dates and the nature of the call. Well, Judge, if we're going to do that, then the state is going to want to have Special Agent Dial actually delve into this. It appears we're talking about the trespassings at 220 Satilla Drive. All of that's already in, including the 911 calls, including officers who responded have already testified. The extra watch on 11/18 is also related to 220 Satilla Drive. So after 11/18, we have some people doing extra watches in the neighborhood. Totally logical. The suspicious person reports I'm concerned about. I did review the stack that Mr. Sheffield said for me to look at. And once again, we've got some concerns because this is personal stuff. I need to go ahead and once again look at exactly which 9 we're talking about. But I think Agent Dial should be able to delve into, when we say suspicious person, we're not talking about Ahmaud Arbery. We're talking about 2 white people. When we talk about suspicious person, we're not talking about Ahmaud Arbery. We're talking about a contractor van in my driveway. When we're talking about suspicious person, we're talking about some unknown car that's there, and oh yeah, that's my brother. He's supposed to be there. So I think it's disingenuous to say, oh, suspicious person calls, and it's just that's the nature, without actually saying, well, the nature was some personal problems that these individuals had on their properties. The burglary on 7-1, once again, that was a false alarm. Nothing happened there. 12/8's the Herndons. We've already had Officer Rash testify about the Herndons and the white people that were doing it and the posting to Facebook. And then 1-1 is Travis McMichael. So I guess the state's request is, if this is allowed and we're going to go through this, then the state wishes to go ahead and really go through it and dive deep into exactly what sort of suspicious stuff was going on. Because it's disingenuous to say suspicious people, and then what they're going to argue is the neighborhood was under attack, and that suspicious person, of course, had to be Ahmaud Arbery. There's no other suspicious person in the neighborhood unless they understand that this suspicious person was my brother. This suspicious person was a contractor. This suspicious person was some kids in the neighborhood. There's actually a call for suspicious person on 4 kids hanging out in a driveway. So that's the kind of thing that if we're going to do this, the state has no problem, but let's do it right, and put in exactly what kind of suspicions the people in Satilla Shores had. So we would just, if we're going to do it, the state would like to be able to go into the underlying facts of this with these certified copies to demonstrate to this jury the nature of what they're trying to intimate here. Thank you.
The state has called this agent who did this work. So let's begin with that. This is the work of this agent. We didn't call this agent. Number 2, I have no problem with the state responding to evidence that the defense puts in. We have not sought to bar them from doing so. They can dive as deep as they want. I can be specific on the suspicious persons. We have an automobile break-in the area, made contact with the homeless man under the bridge. This is a subject that we intend to prove was actually something that the neighborhood was talking about. That's relevant, and it's come up many times. Suspicious person on 11/7. Gentleman on bicycle taking pictures of property, taking pictures, caller approach, said, it's this guy who's running around the neighborhood, and it was on Facebook. And they were concerned about who he was because they didn't think it made sense that he was, and they ultimately determined that this person was not wanted in the neighborhood. 11/17. There's a suspicious person that's noted as, oh, this is the 11/17 call. So we've really already heard about this one, but again, it's the record pulled by this agent. Then there's another suspicious person on 11/30. This one is, someone is trying to get into their door. No one should be there. Everyone's at work. They knocked on it. I don't see how we could say this was Ahmaud Arbery. And the state could certainly point out there's no evidence that this was Ahmaud Arbery. And we're not intending to say that this was in fact Ahmaud Arbery. What we're intending is that there was a lot of criminal activity in this neighborhood that caused these neighbors concern that they were talking about. And this is but, one part of piecing together the puzzle. Doesn't always get put together in order, but this is one part of brick by brick, building the picture of what's going on in this neighborhood. 12/13/19, suspicious person. Caller is out of town. Her doorbell went off, floodlights have come on. Caller would like an officer to ride over. Caller's 2 hours away. These are things that are happening in the neighborhood. 12/17, suspicious person. This just notes on 219, the address of 219 Satilla Drive, there was a call that came in. Then it ultimately says home is clear, going to be in the area. So he went and checked it out. Now the home is clear. On 1/14/20, again, under Lanier Bridge, there's another suspicious person call about something happening under the bridge. This is, again, a piece of the picture of what these neighbors are doing, and we'll tie it up in our case in chief, but this is brick by brick part of what we're doing. Another suspicious person on 115. Gold pickup truck, white van, pulled into the yard. Caller is at work. Subject got out of the white van and got into the gold truck. They left. The caller's going to call a contractor to make sure it's nothing. This is not the one, as I understand it, that somebody was working on the house. That was back on Zellwood. This is on a different street. Again, but it's the way that people are reacting to what's happening in their neighborhood. And lastly, there are a group of kids possibly trying to break into cars. That's what this suspicious person. The state can point out that these are kids that are not Ahmaud Arbery. That's fine. We're not offering it as evidence of Ahmaud Arbery. We're offering it for whatever relevant value it has. And we suggest under 401 the relevance, which tends to make the issue at trial understandable by the jury, is that the citizens of this neighborhood were concerned about crime. This is proof that there are things going on and that show their concern. The Facebook page will continue to funnel it, and the witness testimony will funnel it even more. But this is not inadmissible, impermissible evidence, especially since we now have the person who collected it.
Your Honor, under 401, how does this make it more likely that Travis McMichael murdered Ahmaud Arbery, or less likely that he murdered Ahmaud Arbery? How does it make it more likely that he committed false imprisonment, or less likely that he committed false imprisonment? It doesn't really fall under 401. It's a juror scare tactic. Hey, look, everyone was really, really concerned. It's okay. They went and hunted this guy down and killed him. Not sure how concerns in the neighborhood are a building block, but I have a feeling it's going to be an argument about probable cause and totality of the circumstances and lending credibility to Travis's claim that he thought he had probable cause for some sort of arrest because of all the concerned citizens. We leave it to the discretion of the court. However, our baseline is all or nothing. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Well, I didn't hear from this witness on direct about pulling the reports or what her role might have been. Okay, I didn't. She didn't testify to it. She didn't testify that she reviewed any reports, didn't explain any of that. So I'm not even sure that this is an appropriate witness to go into this with at this point. If she simply pulled the reports and gave them to Dial, then Dial's the one who reviewed the reports, then he'd be possibly somebody to ask about them if it's relevant to whatever his testimony is in this case. But if she just pulled them, I have some question to begin with over whether or not we even get there. But here's where I'm from this morning's arguments that dovetail into today. So the issue, as I understand it, is, I'll narrow it from where the state is. The issue that I understand that the defense is trying to get to is this general neighborhood on edge argument, which has come up a number of times, including during the motion hearings back in May. So that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that that is a direction that the defense is headed in. So what does that mean? Obviously that is being defined very broadly right now by the defense, but to me, if that is an argument, what that really is what did Greg McMichael or Travis McMichael or Roddy Bryan know of whatever this evidence is? What did they know of that was being discussed on this Facebook page? What it is not is all of the police reports that occurred between January 1st, 2019 and May of 20, or I guess it'd be February 23rd of 2020. That evidence, just because there were calls out there